Hello, welcome back to the woods. Now, I've just come back from the Kent Bushcraft Gathering, organised by Black Wolf Survival out in the woods, and it was a cracking couple of days. Really good to meet up with old friends, Craig and Sean from Black Wolf, and also to make some new friends and also meet up with some people that I've spoken to online but never actually met. And while I was there, I did a workshop. I also did a demonstration, and that's what I want to share with you today. I'm going to do a demonstration of something called, or what I call, the Swedish signal fire. And I think it's something that everyone should know. Now, in a world where we can jump on a plane within a few hours, be in some remote part of the world, and I know a lot of people who practice bushcraft like to do just that, and that's the whole point of bushcraft, to get out to those places, to experience them. But if we're going to do that, we also need to know what to do if things go wrong. Now, I've been really lucky over the years, and I've seen quite a few different types of signal fires. I've seen the standard one, which is taught by the Ministry of Defence, which is a one that's suspended off the ground on a tripod. And when you need it, you light up the dry material inside, and it burns quickly, and it causes the vegetation on the outside to smoke quite heavily. I've also seen the one that the Swedish Armed Forces do, which is basically a stretcher which is then placed over an existing fire, which again produces large amounts of smoke. I was also lucky enough to see Mors Kahansky demonstrate his one, which was a very, very simple idea which produced huge amounts of smoke. The one that I teach is sort of a combination of the last two. It uses Mors's idea, but it also uses the simplicity of the Swedish idea. And it's what I call the Swedish signal fire. As I said, it uses an existing fire. So if something did go wrong and you suddenly found yourself in a survival situation, well, the first thing you need to think about is protection. Removing yourself from the danger, getting yourself some sort of shelter up, getting a fire going so that you're protected. This particular method maximises on that because it uses that existing fire. It's very simple in its construction. All you need to do is take 4 poles, 2 long ones, 2 shortish ones, and construct a simple stretcher shape frame. Poles probably want to be about 8 to 9 foot in length, the 2 long ones, and the 2 short ones anywhere between 2 and 3 feet in length. To put it all together, I just use a piece of cord, and to minimise on the amount of cordage that I need, I use Canadian jam knots, so it holds it nice and firmly in place, but it uses a minimal amount of cordage. Once I have that frame set up, what I then do is I place a series of sticks across, and that's going to be there to hold the dry material in place. It doesn't need to be tied, they just need to be laid across, ready for all that dry material to be piled on top. Once I've gathered my dry material, and what I start off with are the very fine bundles of twigs, and I get a good large amount of those and I lay those down on top. I then place the slightly thicker stuff over the top, and I tend to place that pretty much at right angles on top. My final bunch, those are the ones that are anywhere sort of between finger and thumb thick, and again as dry and as dead as possible, and again they get laid on at right angles to the layer below. With that done, I then gather all my vegetation and I pile it up on top of it. And don't skimp. The more vegetation, the more smoke. Where you place your signal fire is fairly important. You don't ideally want to be right in among the trees. If you can find a break in the trees, perhaps a fire ride or a track junction, something like that, where there is a natural gap in the canopy above, that's going to allow the smoke to get out a lot quicker. If you do it in under the trees, then obviously the branches and the leaves, that's going to start to disperse the smoke before you want it dispersing. Yes, the smoke will still get out, but it won't be as concentrated as if you pick a spot where there's a break in the trees so that the smoke can escape freely. Now the next thing that you need to do, and this is where it differs slightly from the Swedish military version, is I place something on either side of the fire so that when I put the stretcher down, I can rest it on top of those things. And they want to be ideally anywhere between 12 and 18 inches high. What this does is it allows the material, once placed on top of the fire, to catch a light, but it also allows a massive airspace in around the side. So as the heat starts to get going, it draws air in from the sides. And what you end up with is something like a double burner effect. So when it actually comes to needing your signal fire, you have it set down close to where your fire is, so that if you suddenly see a helicopter on the horizon, or perhaps you see people in the distance and you need to let them know where you are, it's nice and accessible. Here we go. All you do at that point is two of you pick it up and you place it onto the rests on either side of the fire. Now if there is only one of you, it doesn't matter. I've done it on my own several times. You literally just pick up one end, move it across onto your rests on one side, walk round and do the same on the other side. Once you've placed it on, well, it takes a few seconds to get going, but not very many. It's usually quicker than trying to light the one in the tripod, because you already have that base of heat anyway and you've got the flame there, and it gets going fairly quickly. As soon as it is going, what you start to notice is you get this double burner effect, and as the heat builds you start to see the thermal column, which absolutely pumps huge amounts of hot white smoke up into the air.
Next day, and about 10
Once this fire gets going, it burns really hot and really fast, and it does produce a huge amount of smoke. You can almost actually hear it roar as it starts to get going. This is a really good, simple technique for use in emergency situations. It can be done by one person on their own. It uses a fairly small amount of cordage, and in use it's nice and simple. Ideally, don't just stop with one. Ideally you'd have 3 little fires going already, but if you're on your own you may not have that option. Either way, the amount of smoke that it produces is definitely going to get you some attention. So there you go. For what it's worth, that's my take on a very simple but very effective signal fire. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, then as always, hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And remember, you can also go and check me out on Etsy, and I'll put a link in the description box below. And also you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram I'm greencraft_01, and on Facebook, well, just search for Greencraft. Thanks for taking the time to watch. As always, I've been Neil, and until next time, stay safe.